for them, you know, like lots of coffee, lots of sugar, all of this stuff. And they knew that the app had supported them. And yet they're still not kind of 100% there with getting what it's doing. Yeah, it's that it really, yet I know if they stay on and actually work with that for a bit longer, they're actually going to really get what else it's given. And sometimes, I've said this before too, sometimes if we don't get the specific result that, like I've got an allergy and that allergy in a week or a month is still not sorted out completely. I might have had it for my whole life, but I'm still going to say it's not working. Yet it's that, it is that whole other side of it, of what it's bringing to you. And sometimes it appears to me that it can be challenging for people to acknowledge the value of feeling happier, of being calmer, of having some really magic stuff go on around them as well. Yeah. Because that specific, and this is your, when you're talking, Corey, about the symptom chasing, because this thing over here isn't sorted, I can't really receive everything else, and sort of devaluing what a high value, just feeling better, happier, calmer, whatever that is. Yeah.
Right. Well, and if we look at how so many people function out there, just in, you know, going to the doctor for a symptom, is people are so attached to their thing. My diabetes, my back pain, my bum knee. They own it. And it's my thing that I've been trying to solve for such a long time. It's my biggest issue. And that is a whole nother thing we could have like a whole day-long session about, of unhooking yourself from owning your issues, which every symptom that's being expressed is simply a disharmony in the body. A disease is a set of symptoms that are disharmony in the body that are all expressing at the same time. And so we own the disease and not really look at, hey, where can we create more harmony, more homeostasis within ourselves? And I think that's where this app just like annihilates this symptom chasing and this owning of the disease or the issue as a lifelong thing or a problem. Because once we come off of that, then we start getting into going, well, if that's not a problem, then who are you?
Yeah.
If you're not someone with this thing, then who are you? You have a whole, your attention, your energy, your life is going to go in a completely different direction. And Dr. Cook was saying that in different words this morning with the future potentials of when you start getting well and having a better quality of life, your whole reality starts to change, which is what fascinates me about this app.
Mm. Me too.
So, continue on with the questions, Delaney.
Flip to my screen then. Okay, so do people activate a boost for a few hours, like focus, and switch to something like sleep, or does it go deeper over time? Dr. Cook talked about this at one point late in the thing again today, and we've talked about it many times, you know, particularly when you first get on, that snapping between everything and not giving that space to something to actually really go deep. And so you can activate boosts, and I've done it over a few hours. What was interesting today was his clarity around whether you do a spark for every time. So like I might want to put focus on or resolve, but I don't want to put that on for 24 hours, yeah, or energy, because it interferes with me then coming down and sleeping. And you don't need to actually be doing a spark every time for that. And he was saying he really wonders about if you do a spark for every time and you're actually hitting the system with all of this new information all the time. So, and he referred to it as a like brake accelerator scenario, you know, and not actually allowing the body to receive all of those nutrients, you know, for a longer period of time, have that deep receiving of it. So because I've been one of these people that actually do, you know, swap something during the day to at night, not constantly, but I do it quite a bit. And so what you can do is you can actually save those boosts, like know what you've got in your boost so that you're not necessarily introducing a whole pile of information every morning. Because when he was saying that, I could see that, right, okay, I could see how it would be kinder to my body to be able to receive those ingredients for at least a few days. And he still runs his custom, can you remember what he referred to it as? His constitutional custom for 14 days. He just has that running and allows his body to deeply receive that. And then he will use other boosts in those other 2 spots when and if he feels like it. So for me, there is a big thing about coming to terms with relaxing with this as well.
Well, and since we're getting so many more ingredients that are so exciting, like there are some very, very exciting new ingredients in there, from products that cost you $100 a month are now available on your info boost. Like, I mean, many of these things have now been added into and they've got added into our library, which I love. And then we have an additional, I think 400 more that they're adding in. So it just keeps getting more and more juicy. But our bodies, like you said, can only handle a certain amount of information coming in at one time. And so if our bodies aren't used to receiving that information and a lot of that information and that information so quickly, like you said, the changes, then we want to back off and let it run a little bit longer so that your body is taking what it needs. And then you will start to regulate a little bit more, is sort of what we're starting to see happen. I know that's what's happening in my body too.
Yeah, definitely. It's made a difference for me to be not chopping and changing so much and allowing things to run for at least a few days rather than just 24 hours.
Right. Well, and I'll just add one other thing to that is if you're symptom chasing, right, and we're looking for the immediate relief, which if you have pain, if you have something, of course you're going to want immediate relief, like everybody would. But if you look at your health in a longer term way, then you go, okay, let's get on this app and let's give it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months and let's see what's actually possible here. Then your mindset is going to go to a different place of, I can relax. I don't have to get everything in a month or 2 months or 7 day or a 5-day trial or something like that. It's like you actually have access to the whole library for a long period of time if you'd like to choose that. And in that, you can choose whatever your body, like allow your body to choose it with those info boosts so that you can allow your body to deal with what it is saying is now versus your mind thinking this is what's going to help. It might be accurate, your mind, and it might not be accurate. And I think that's just this total shift in mindset that we have to come to really create wellness in our lives altogether.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. And that relax thing is really big, and not giving yourself a hard time either about if one thing's not working that you really, really want it to, I want this gone. Well, maybe there's a whole range of things. And this is like Dr. Cook talks about this. This does not negate the use of anything else or everything else, like it includes diet, what works for your body with food, not as in going on a diet, but more that relationship with you and your body with food. It includes movement, how your body likes to move, what you want to be doing. It includes medical assistance if it's so required. I know one of the retirees there that, he had his knee surgery, but boy, having the Limbic Arc contributed so much to the speed with which he was back walking again after having that knee surgery, and even the state of his body going in to have the surgery. So it's not, this is, as the disclaimer says, it's not a medical device, and many of us are experiencing what we can look at as miracles, but it is not the be all and end all either. And it doesn't mean that it's not working because there's still something going on in a particular area of your life. And particularly if you've only been on it for a month or two, you know, like some of this stuff is going to take longer. And you need, what I also love about this app is the connection that it's deepening with my relationship with my body. You know, this is a real gift of it.
Yeah, I would agree. My mom was on it during her hip surgery, and I was like, "It's like, how's it going?" She's like, "I'm actually really good. I'm a little cranky, like it's a little cranky down there, and I'm groggy from the meds, but it's pretty fine. I'm not sure if the app helped or not because she was just good."
Yeah.
She didn't have anything to compare it to. So, do you want to address Allison's question here?
Yeah,
In the
sure.
chat?
Alison is asking, I'm having most of the my people using the trials 1 week to 1 month reporting no change noticeable. Is anyone else having that too? I haven't had anyone say that they haven't noticed anything. The least I've had is someone going, well, I am feeling a bit better, but I'm not sure if that's it, or the fact that I'm walking regularly. You know, like that's the thing. And Alison, just let go of them and look at the people that you're, and this is not a having a go at you either, darling. Please don't take it like that, but have a look at the people. You know, was there any push from you to really want them to have it because you love them or care about them, or are they, you know, and not presuming that they are, but you want to be looking at that too, because I have noticed that for, you know, like for some people, it's awesome. Their families and friends go on it and they're there, or some of them are, but for some, it's not like that. And so it's not going to suit everybody. So if you're having results and you're happy with it, that's the most important thing. And then we, you know, really get involved in those, the Wednesday call and the business calls that the quantum nomads do, and just look at other ways to spread your message and share your message with other people, because there's a lot of people out there that are going to be interested. Okay. And remember that this is a very new thing. We really are in at the ground floor on this one, which is super exciting for our futures. Yeah. And so just keep going, just keep talking about your experience without pushing, because yeah, like, I mean, on the call yesterday, Corey, you were talking about, you know, for some people, maybe pushing works, not for you. Same with me. And it doesn't work for me in relation to building a business with this either. As soon as I start to push, I eyeball myself. So it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But please get on those other calls and start asking questions in there too, because that's we're doing stuff specifically around business and affiliates. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll also like to just add in, when people go on a trial, if they're not noticing something, sometimes they just don't know what to look for. They don't realize, like they have an idea or a conclusion in their head about what they should be noticing, and it should be some miraculous thing, because, you know, when we do have those, whoa, my God, that was amazing, then everybody thinks they should, and they might not at the beginning, or maybe they had something else happen, but they didn't think that that was it. Like they're just not attributing to it. So I always make sure, and we talked about this in the call yesterday too, is I always make sure that they watch a video beforehand. They are saying yes to the app, and I give them more information, and then I follow up. So I'm asking them specific questions, and I'm also helping them sort of adjust their boost and stuff like that. And some people, and Dr. Cook always says, some people, this modality isn't going to be for them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to work for everybody, though. I have probably 85% of people who are saying that they're noticing something and gaining benefit from it, just from my personal experience so far. So I wonder who those people are that are so excited to have more wellness and well-being in their lives. Cool. Thanks, Allison. All right. Do you want to go to the next question?
From Marlene Trithard, could the pain get worse before it gets better? It really can. I've experienced that personally when I did the quantum leap which we were kind of referring to as the trauma release before that. When I first did that, I had pain coming up all over my body because I had actually, my trauma release was around everywhere I'd hurt myself, which was fairly crazy in retrospect. And so that first day, oh my God, I had like pains in a hip I don't have any problems with. I had pain in my shoulder, and it went through. But I knew what it was. So I wasn't paranoid about that. But this again is, you have to trust yourself. You have to be in connection with you, because you don't want to be overloading your system either. Is it that your body doesn't want that? So if you're going through a lot of pain and it goes for a bit and you're starting to get into a doubtful phase with yourself, then turn it off and see, right, okay, that's pain. That pain has eased. And perhaps if you want to continue to use that boost, go in there and take out a few ingredients and then see how that works. Yeah. That would be my take on that.
Mm-hmm. I'll just add to that is sometimes you're healing, like when your body's healing a wound, something that's happened to it, sometimes to rearrange, and especially when it's going fast, it sometimes doesn't feel good. And we're so, just going back to this mindset thing, we're so programmed that pain is bad, intensity is bad, overwhelm is bad. That all means something is happening. Yeah. And it's like, if we can come off of pain intensity is bad and go, wait a second, what's actually going on here? Like I had a curling iron burn, and when it ignored it for a little while because I didn't think it was that bad, but it was. And when I started actually paying attention to it and putting some stuff on it, it hurt like a mofo. It hurt worse than when I did it. And I looked at it and I was like, what is happening here? And I was like, oh, it's healing. It's rearranging. Yeah. It is healing right now. Healing isn't always like butterflies and unicorn farts. It's like, sometimes the healing is putting it all back together, and it can be intense. So
something else, just one more thing on there, Corey, also, because it goes, the next question, you were preempting it actually, Marlene, because it was knowing when to hang in when it's uncomfortable and when it's actually overload, is also what, like, this is that connection with your body I was talking about, because that day when I put that boost on and I went into that pain, I just need, you know what I did? I went and bought some chocolate and I laid down. Now, okay, I probably didn't need the chocolate, let's be honest, but it was really nice. But my body needed to lie down. And it is one of the things that I find the most challenging, to allow my body to lie down, except when I go to bed, and rest, stretch out and rest. Yeah. So, if anyone is going through that, that's another point to put in, and another question to ask about, does your body just need to actually rest? And yes, the pain's going to be there, but is it a signal to please lay down and rest? Please take the pressure off me. Yeah.
We had a number of people, even including myself, who it was like when I felt like I was exhausted, and there was a lot of stuff going on in the world too. So you can't assume everything has to do with the app, but I was like sleeping every afternoon. I was taking naps for like a week, which is not normal for me. And then I started getting deeper sleep at night, and then deeper sleep at night. And I was like, oh, that was just a big reset. Oh, cool. Now I'm sleeping like such deep, good sleep. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I had a sleep problem. I didn't have a problem. Just getting better sleep. All right, Delaney, what's the next question?
Someone has just put in, they've been asked, I wonder how they've potentized and digitalized the healing energies. Straight up with that, that's definitely their secret sauce. And we're never going to know the exact details of that, because that is what makes it different. Something, and I'm sure you might have some better words for this too, Corey, from this morning when he spoke about, when this is Dr. Cook speaking about the information over frequency, because somebody asked, will they be putting frequency ingredients in? You know how you can listen to God frequency music and things like that that are there. And he was explaining about how this is the it's information, and why they use information is because frequency is, it's not big enough. It doesn't actually express what this app is providing. And information is a much broader umbrella and more accurate to what is really going on. We are being delivered. And I've been, you know, if you watched The Matrix and you saw all the code, yeah, this is how I've been getting my head around it. So this is just a Delaney point of view. And there's all that code. And so I've heard that him and Ron talk about that these are binary codes, and that everything is a binary code, you know, and that these are like algorithms. And so that is information. That's how we create our reality, with that information, which is not just a frequency. It's actually the entanglements. It's creation, yeah, which is way too big for my brain to be able to get it, you know, get a real handle on. And so I think that within it is partly answering that question. Yeah, it's a technology, and they are not going to give out all the information of the secret source. And it's way more than frequencies. And yes, they will be including some frequency ingredients in the future.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love the information too, because it is not, you don't, if you have a frequency, then it has to be delivered in a different way, whereas the information can be delivered through the field as boom, instant. And the frequencies, oftentimes you have to be in near proximity to wherever the device is.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing too, with some of the other technologies that are out there right now.
It really is. That's a really good point, because I know the power of sound healing. I know the power of our own voices in healing our bodies, all of that sort of stuff. But it is that you've got to be hearing that or feeling that vibration, which does not discount that technology, does not say that it doesn't work. This is just a different technology.
Exactly. Just different. Cool. What's the next question? If you guys have any questions, we're on, and we're also live streaming to Facebook right now. If you're on Facebook, come on Zoom with us. And I see a bunch more people just came on. Feel free to ask your questions, and we're here for you. So what's the next one, Delaney?
The next one is, do you have to be careful of not doubling up the same ingredients in your info boost? Now, Dr. Cook's response to me asking this question, because somebody kind of disagreed with something I said the other day, and I just left it because I thought, right, we'll talk about it here, is he said that it's not doubling up. You know, when you have more than the ingredients show up in more than one boost, they are not actually, your body's not going to be getting double the vitamin C because you've got it in 2 boosts. What it is that it is like he likened it to a voice, and that voice going vitamin C. Yeah. So if you've got it showing up in more than one boost, it's actually like the volume's up, and it's going to be your body that receives that information. It's not like, right, we've gone from 1,000 meg to 10,000 because we've got it into boosts. That's not how it works. It is delivering information that somehow also includes information telling your body how to utilize it, which is very cool. And so, no, you're not doubling up, which means that you don't have to have all of those, you know, if you go down to scan optimized additional boost ingredients, you don't actually have to have those 10 or 11 in, or 12 or 5 or however many are there in every single boost that you run.
Yeah. And then you just get to play with it too and see how it works for you as well. I think that's and that's what he said. I was listening to one of the call recordings that you can find on limbicarc.com, and it was from March 2019, it's over a year ago. And he said, You are the authority on your body. And this is where we're talk about mindset again. We're so entrained. Tell me what this does. Tell me what this can do for me. Tell me what to do. Tell me what the rules are. But you are the governor of your body. So yes, you're taking supplements over the counter, buying them from the health food store. Yes, you might be receiving info boosts from the Quantum Leap. Yes, you might be doing other things, but you're the one that gets to say and choose and not dictate that. That's actually not the accurate word, but you get to perceive what's working and what's not working. And see what really is actually working for you uniquely, because it might be different.
Yeah.
Like we had Janine was saying she likes turning the sleep on and off at night. I left it on for 7 days. There's no right way to do this. There's more like, hey, is that working for you? Is that creating more wellness for you or not?
Yeah, spot on. And it's that thing too of, like, for me, I still, focus doesn't do for me what it does. I know I've heard you say, Ben, that you can use focus so much, you know, it's a great one for you. It doesn't work like that for me yet, you know, like, but I will go back and try it, because the first time I couldn't even have it on. Like, my body just went, whatever the heck is in this? No. And then the second time I had it on longer, and but it still didn't have that, like, yay. Whereas I put Resolve on, and that was like, man, that took me back to lines of Coke. You know, I mean, it was just fantastic. It was like Wonder Woman. And I knew I had to turn it off overnight or I would not have slept, you know, like I was on fire.
That's really funny, Delaney. Can I add something to that?
Yes, please do.
That's really funny. And I wonder if you add focus and resolve together, how that will work for you. But to add that, whenever I put strength on, because I've tried strength with my training, it doesn't feel right. And I just like, I feel uncomfortable and I get agitated and all these sort of not nice energies, and I turn it off and then I'm fine. But I don't know, but something I'm thinking is I'm just not ready for it yet. Like, yeah. I think it's there available for me. I think it's going to contribute, but at the moment, and one thing is actually my shoulder's a bit of a problem. So it's like, maybe my body's actually just not ready to take that on.
Yeah, you know? Right.
So for me, I think that is something I'm aware of. And then I wonder whether that's a similar thing for you with focus.
Yeah. And what I do with it, you know, like that, I can be a bit OCD. So, you know, whereas maybe a few months down the track when I've got a bit more space around everything, it may have a really different effect. But it was different the second time. Like, it was, you know, so there is that physiological change that's coming with the more and more. Because I mean, God, how long have we been on this now? Not that long. You know what? Do you know how long?
A little over 2 months for me.
A little over 2 months. So I came on about a week or two after you had started, maybe 10 days, something like that. I mean, we're still in very early days with mega outstanding results. But I wonder too, and sometime down the track, I'm going to try that one just to see what happens. I'll keep you posted, Ben.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love to hear.
We have a question here from Gigi. I just put in the chat as well, Delaney.
Gigi Cohen, I keep hearing users say that less is more in the context of using one program at a time versus 3, and that one will get better results. Do I understand that correctly? That's a personal thing, and I actually haven't taken it. When I've heard Dr. Cook or those guys speak about less is more, it's been more about how many ingredients as well as how many I'm running, because 3 works really well, quite a lot. But there have been times where I've just got 2 on for a few days as well. So I don't think it's about the amount of necessarily having 3, but it can be how often you're changing them too. Like not like we said before, you mightn't have been on, Gigi, you know, the having it for a few days, having it for 10 days, having it for 2 weeks is going to create a really different reality for your body, allowing that deepening. But I kind of think of that more as you don't necessarily have to have 15 ingredients in 3 boosts running 24/7. And it's really, again, a journey with you and your body. Over to you, Corey.
Yeah, totally. I'll just add to that is you'll hear me specifically say less is more. Dr. Cook says less is more. It's not a conclusion, it's an awareness, because how many of us, and me 150%, have been entrained to believe that more is better on everything. We're going for more is better on everything. And it's more exercise, more vitamins. I mean, when I was like 13 and having migraines, I was popping 4 Advils a day, or 4 Advils a time, 3 times a day at 13 years old, because I thought more was better. And when I started this app, and Delaney and I had a few conversations about this, was like, more is not better if for the perspective in your mind, right? So coming off of that and really going, hey, what's going to be generative for me here? What's going to really create more ease for me here? What's going to create more wellness and well-being for me here? It might be that you have 3 info boosts on. It might be that you have a custom with 20 things in there. It might be that you have 5. We don't know. We can't predict that. That's where you get to tune in to your body. And you get to deepen this relationship with your body and come out of the programming that more is better and that assumption, and come into, hey, what's right for me right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the really interesting things with this app, and that connection with body too, because many of us have been working a long time on connection with our bodies and what they need. And still many of us have some very, very strong points of view around what's required, and what does my body need, and blah, blah. And I really feel like working with this technology is really blowing a lot of that out of the window, and really making me connect with my body way more about what it wants and what it actually requires. Because I have been surprised at what has come up for, and yet surprised, and well, it makes sense. I can see that too. When I'm looking at ingredients, it's like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing to add to this, right? And this goes in with Gigi's second question here, is we have choice, and we've been given, since little babies in this lifetime, not very many choices. So now we have choice. We have choice in which info boost to do. We have choice which ingredients to do. We have choice of how we do it. We have total choice over this. And if we're looking for the instruction manual of how to do it for you, you're never going to find it anywhere else besides figuring that out for yourself. And it might change, right? I know for me, it's changed, where it's like, for a few days, depending on what's going on in the world and what's going on in my life, it's like chill, right? And then other days I'm like, I can do much more in my custom, right? So I can have a number running, or I can change it up every couple of days. And then other times it's like, nope, just let it roll. So that's where you tuning into your awareness for yourself and knowing that you have choice is like, isn't that relieving? Like, I'm like, oh, there's no right way to do this. Bonanza!
You mean I get to create it with my body and actually listen to my body and hear it and know what it's responding to as well? My God, my God. Yeah. And Gigi's got another one on you, Gigi. Another thing I've heard, the suggestion based on success rate is to just start with custom program. Or is Dr. Cook's scan recommendations trump this suggestion? First off, when you first begin, it's absolutely get the custom on. That is advised, and that you leave it on, leave it on for a week. He really likes leaving his constitutional custom on for 10 to 14 days. The Dr. Cook survey suggestions, that is just another wonderful choice, and can be really useful if you just kind of in a space where you don't know, or you've got somebody joined up who's a bit confused about it. It was really wonderful to give someone the other day the information. They had forgotten, they heard it, but they'd forgotten that they could go and do the survey. And it also really surprised them, and they were really, really excited by seeing what was recommended as well. So it's just another choice within there, and it doesn't trump the custom to begin. Absolutely. And most people love having their custom running as well. Dr. Cook certainly has his custom running for 14 days all the time.
Yeah. I think those are really cool, those customs. It seems kind of boring because it's custom. It seems much more exciting to put one of the formulations on. But it really is exactly what your body is wanting in this moment. That custom is, you're taking the top 10 that your body's saying, yes, please, these would be a contribution to me, and you're running those, and that's a real gift.
Yeah. And Dr. Cook also says with that you receive the information instantaneously, but why he leaves it on is so the body can actually deeply absorb. And because so many of us here really are very energetically aware, and it's like, right, got that, right, on to the next thing. And so it is really nice to let that custom run there so that your body does get to receive all of those, and then you can still play with the others as well and not have them on for 14 days. But, you know, like I was inspired when you, Corey, was it sleep that you left on for 10 days? And yeah. I was just like, good God, she's left it on for 10 days. That was when I began like, rightio, I've got to really leave some things on for a while. Yeah, I was inspired by that.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I had a client, good friend of mine I spoke with this morning, and she said she had it on and then it went off, and she had some massive up level in her life, change of relationship, moved, old pattern in her life. Oh, there's a mosquito. Oh, wait, can I kill it? Oh, you little guy, sorry. Those things are everywhere around here. Anyway, she said, she's like, oh, I can put the limbic arc on. With that day, when you've just moved to a new town, you have this intensity of a ending of relationship. She was like, oh, she's like, it changed everything. Yeah. I'm now just like totally good. Everybody's like, are you okay? She's like, I'm amazing. I'm just amazing with that shift. And so it's amazing how just adding that in for her, I think she just put on calm and stress relief, and it was like chilled everything out. Cool.
It is amazing. I've watched my partner, Richard, he has calm running most of the time as one of his. He'll have a custom, and calm is something that he said to me this morning, it's on pretty well most of the time now. And he's someone that's really hypersensitive, and I'm seeing, the benefits of that to him every day. Quite phenomenal. Yeah.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. All right. Do you guys have any other questions for us? Feel free to post them in the chat here. And since we're streaming on Facebook, I'm also bringing your questions in from Facebook because we can. Technology. Let's see. Oh, some of the other questions I've had a lot of are just questions about accessing the app. So I know for a number of people, including myself, I was having a hard time getting to it on Google Chrome. So I just switched to Safari. I got in just fine. And there's been a lot of people, everybody's phones are updating these days. Okay. If it stops working on your phone for whatever reason, when you go to limbicarc.com, go to your mic setting. If you're having a trouble accessing your mic, go to your mic setting, because when the updates have been done, I know my mic got turned off for Safari somehow. So it wasn't working. And I was like, what is going on? It was because it got set off in the settings. So just figure out how to do that in your phone. It's usually just in settings. It was under Safari and then microphone. And then I turned it back on. It worked perfectly. And then just so you know, I don't think this is talked about a lot, but a lot of people have questions about it. If you have an Apple phone, an iPhone, use Safari. Safari is the compatible browser. If you have an Android, use Chrome, because those are the compatible browsers for each one of those phones. If you have a computer, I've used it both on Chrome and Safari. Right now it's working better on Safari. But if you have a PC, because I have an Apple, if you have a PC, just use Chrome or whatever the home browser is on there. And then if your Spark isn't activating, the voice Spark, check your microphone settings.
Yeah. And it's funny, like I've had a few things go on. Sometimes it can be very much user error. Some of the problems that I've helped people with when I've got online with them on a Zoom and got them to bring up their screen, everything's gone fine. And it's been, you know, like wrong email, or it's been stuff like that. But also last night, someone was getting like a doubling up of a page, some really, really crazy stuff, and clearing the history didn't work. Nothing worked. And then she was on a Mac. We got her to download Firefox. Not a problem. So sometimes, because it's technology, like it really is about, okay, just try a different browser. Or I've even had some things with my phone where the mic's on and everything, and I wasn't able to record on it. And I went onto my laptop, did it, and the next time I went on my phone, it was fine. So, you know, technology can be a little temperamental sometimes. Yeah. Marianne Baker, can you say more about what the trauma release is and how you do it? There is a great video on this in the units on the Quantum Wellness Now group page. So if you go into the units, you will be, oh, is that in the units, or is that, yeah, it is in the units now, isn't it? So you'll be able to find it there. And just briefly, Marianne, it's really about getting, you know, choosing what issue you want to look at. For me, when I did it the first time, it was around, I'd cut myself, and it was looking at what pain I'd inflicted on myself, and then getting all of the emotions, sometimes pictures, sometimes a mind movie, and then coming up with a name for it. My first one's name was When the Axe Fell. And then you do your spark scan saying your name, including all the subconscious stuff that you can't remember, and then the name of your movie. And that's the information that you do in your spark. And then you do your custom scan with that. And that's really the process. But there's a great video on it, talks to you about some of the things that Tracy and I experienced when we did it as well, so that you've got a really good picture of what can possibly go on with that. So please go to the units and find that. And everybody, Corey's done an amazing, crazy, amazing job with those units and how organized they are. They do continually get added to and altered. So please, you know, just if you looked at them a month ago, there's going to be different stuff in there now.
Yeah. Totally.
Ruth must be lucky because she's got no tech issues herself.
That's awesome.
Yes, people often think they have to keep the website up and with them, or their phone with them, and I say, no, nothing is required. I love that. I love that.
Let's say just a little bit more about that too. Everybody always asks me, do I have to keep my phone by me? No. You're accessing the website that is attached to the Limbic Arc servers that is doing all the magic. And then it's being delivered to you through the quantum field, which is the field that connects everything. So the phone is just that button you push, and then it's delivered anywhere. So you can turn your phone off. You could not even have your phone by you. You don't have to sit by it. That's what I love about this in comparison even to other products that are out there. I don't have to have anything attached to my body. I don't have to sit there for an hour with something attached to my body because I'll never do it. But just turn this on. It runs 24/7.
Yeah.
That's my ADD brain is all over the place. You can barely get me to sit still for 60 minutes of yoga. So, so there's that. Isn't that brilliant? Thank you for that accessibility.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for so much.
Yeah, totally. I wanted to say one more thing about all of this, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, this is what it was. So some people have asked what's going on when it stops working, right? And I've had a few people say, you know, I was using it for a few weeks, I got great results, it stopped working. What's going on here? Well, there's a couple of things that I've heard Dr. Cook say about it, but then also from my own experience in general with life and energy and supplements and things like that. Because I've been in the nutrition industry for like 20 years. I used to sell supplements back in the day. So I got pretty educated at a very young age. So when something stops working, it might mean that your body doesn't need that particular formulation anymore. It might mean that you're good. Like there's nothing else that particular formulation can offer you. So that's when you want to change up your boosts, have a different perspective, do something a little bit different, say something a little bit different into your spark scan that is a little more accurate to where you are now. Now we see this happen all the time. Like when I facilitate my coaching work, is people go, Corey, it's not feeling exciting anymore. And I'm like, well, where are you now? What's your life like now compared to where it is when you started? And they're like, well, it's totally different. Like everything's just easy. I don't have problems anymore. And I'm like, yeah. So your relationship to what used to be different is now different. It's kind of like, you know, when you get in a hot tub, you get in at first and it's super hot and you're like, oh my God, it's super hot. I don't know if I can get in. And then you're in there for an hour and you're like, it kind of feels cold. That's because you've acclimated to it. You've become resonant with that. You've become in homeostasis. There's nothing else that can change. So we have to move on to something else. So the tips I would give for that is change up what you're saying into your info boost. Change your perspective of, oh, I thought I needed this, but what if I do something a little bit different or unexpected? Like when I turned on Resolve and anti-aging, that one for me, I was like, anti-aging, I don't really need that one. But I was like, oh, I got the hit to do it. Let's click it. Focus, clarity, magic, like all this amazing stuff started happening. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that whatsoever. So do something different with it. And if you're not symptom chasing, start to acknowledge, and this is part of the key to all of it, acknowledge what has shifted. People say to me all the time in one breath, I'm not noticing anything, but blah, 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 blah. What is your relationship to what's shifting and changing in your world? Because you just said you're not noticing anything, but then you just said all of this is different. So I think that's where our minds get a little bit involved with our expectations.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. Okay, let me check Facebook and see if we have any more questions here. All right, so Adele is asking, well, Gigi is asking, access point can be a computer or a phone, anywhere you're accessing it, it doesn't actually matter. And a whole bunch of people can be on the same device. It doesn't matter at all. They just have to have a separate login and email address. Yeah. And that's where you set up their different accounts. Okay, so when you do your voice record, where is your intentions in the now, or are you voicing it from the future you'd like to have?
Oh, that's an interesting one. If you're looking at an issue, then like Dr. Cook has said, it really doesn't matter the words you're speaking. You can actually talk about the pain that, like if it's pain, you know, you can talk about the pain. God, my hip is driving me crazy. I can't handle it anymore. Or it can be, I want flexibility. And, you know, because there are going to be, because if you're actually thinking about it, then that's where your intention is. Even if you're talking about the future, you're still aware of where your pain is in the body that you would like to change. Yeah. And so it's more about looking at, it can be, and for a lot of us, we actually like to look at how we'd like it to be. We like to express it like that, but it's not about negating what is either. It's about being okay with what is and then creating what's, you know, the future that we actually know is possible. And so that's the same when we're speaking this too. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And we've had people say, Oh, there we go. Sorry. I was looking at Facebook and your mouth was still moving because there's a delay.
Yeah.
And I was like, where's her words? Like, what just happened? That was so weird. That was so weird. So I've had people say that doing it different ways, whether they're speaking just, my name is Corey, I have blonde hair and I have blue eyes, speaking that stuff versus speaking to what you would like to have versus speaking to what is presently going on. I think I'll just not suggest, but I'll mention this for me is I have the tendency to go to what I want, right? And what I started doing was being real about what is. And I started getting a different kind of read because I was like really being real instead of trying to change something. I was like, this is actually what I'm dealing with right now in this moment. And I got a little different things showing up on my scans because so much of the time, if you've been doing personal growth work for a long time, we want to edit our words because we think our words are creating our world. But sometimes we just have to get really present with what's going on so we can express that energy so the app can pick it up. So you're not covering up like what's really going on.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, is the not covering up, actually being present with what is, as well as what you'd like it to change to.
Totally. All right. So Suzanne is actually asking, I have somebody in Europe who wants to try it. Is there something different I need to know to invite her on my friends and family account? No. Same. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. They just need access to an internet and their email address. And they just go in and set up the app from that email and just make sure that you set them up properly, send them to the Facebook group, send them to the unit so they're educated on it. I think that's one of the biggest things I did in the beginning was I invited people on and I didn't actually give them the information that they needed to be able to get the best results with the app, which is when you just put somebody on it and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter about language either. So if it's somebody in Germany, and it's really fine. It doesn't matter if they speak in German either. It's language free is the voice scan. In fact, I've got someone on my team who is in France, speaks no English, and we actually communicate. It just cracks me up. We communicate via Google Translate. She was in a class of mine where I had translators. That's how we know each other. And she is rocking it with it and looking at building business with it. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that all evolves and spreads.
Isn't that amazing? That's so
Yeah,
cool.
It is. And in fact, one of the new ingredients is the redox molecule. And she has been like a sharer of redox and a user of redox Asia for a long time. So when and she had asked me a question just days before it came out that they had included that molecule in the new one. So I mean, she was beside herself.
I love that so much. Isn't that amazing? And when we have close to 1,000 ingredients in there, we'll have pretty much everything that's available in a health food store available at your fingertips. So as they're loading these in, and you get them all for free. I mean, you're paying for the subscription, but you continue to get more and more and more, which blows my mind what we have access to here. That is. Oh man, it's crazy. How I don't even have words for it. I don't even have words for it. So if you have specific questions, Suzanne's asking about Redux, just go into the app, find that one, click it, and it will tell you all about what that is. So HGH is in there as well.
Yeah, written about some people have recorded kids crying to do their scan.
What a great idea.
Yeah, isn't it? That's really, really cool.
Yeah. So one thing, a couple of just extra tips that I've found fun for me when using this is when I do my scan, I go to custom and I find out which ones are at the top, just because I'm looking, and I click them all and I like to read what they're all about. And there's always a theme. There's always a theme, whether it's inflammation or whether it's, I had in the beginning, it was hers a lot, like increase female sexual libido or whatever. Apparently I needed some of that, which worked. And then like I see different things, and then for a little while it was like all calming stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool because I can sort of see what's going on in my world and go, I wouldn't have necessarily put that together in my brain.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like an issue or anything, but I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I see my body's actually asking to be calmed down. Or like the streptococcus one kept coming up, and I was like, my body must be fighting something or whatever. Who knows? I don't even want to come to that assumption, but my body said yes to that, so I put it on. Some molds and funguses are in there. And I'm always turning on the imponderables. I always have those running in some custom for neutralizing or for addressing those energies in my field.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tips that you found helpful?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk too for a moment about doing proxy, surrogate scans for people, and because one of the people in our team did it recently with a mother who is I think 87 and dementia, in and out, was in a lot of pain and not eating. And they'd been giving her medication, and she hated the medication and had gotten to refusing the medication. And so she did a surrogate scan. So that is speaking on behalf of her mother, making it clear when recording that I'm speaking on behalf of, and creating an account. So a new email, having an email for her mum, and not going through her account, but having an account for her mum, and then speaking that. And why I'm using that one is because in 3 days, the pain had gone and she was able to eat egg custard, and it's not about trying to keep her alive. It's actually about giving her some peace and comfort. And Richard, my partner last night, same thing. His mum's 87 and she's in a nursing home and dementia and coming in, and has had 4 falls recently in the last 2 weeks, stuff like that. And so he did a scan for her, and it completely blew him away, because when he looked at the list of ingredients, that most of them were things he had never seen in his scans. And so that was pretty amazing for him, just going, wow, how does this technology do that? That it's so demonstrably not anything to do with me, even though it was my voice doing it. So that was I just wanted to share that, because that's a really wonderful thing to know, that if you can't get the technology to them and get them to speak, that you can actually do something and contribute.
Oh, 100%. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So speaking to that, one of the other things that I think that we haven't quite said on this particular call yet is our attention and intention is very powerful. So we were talking about our intention with what we're saying into the Spark scan. Now, don't try to get it perfect, right? Perfect isn't necessarily it, but our intention actually matters. And so Dr. Cook, and we'll be linking in the group his call that he did, and you can also find it on the Limbic Arc website. The recording is already up. Highly recommend jumping on those calls every month, just being in his space. It's just, he's got such a cool energy. But he talks about the future potentials. And so when you speak that in and you're saying, you know what, I'm having that, or I'm really being present with this, then you're going to bring through other future potentials available to you in your quantum field of choices and creating your life. And so I think that's one thing that is so powerful about this app, is that you can, like, I turned on Resolve one day. Last week, I had a really hard week energetically. There was just a lot going on, and I was getting a lot of judgment coming at me in my world. And I wasn't dealing with it all that well. So I turned on Resolve, and I was like, I actually want to resolve whatever is in me that's resisting this judgment. And it was amazing how just my choice in choosing that to put my energy into and saying, yes, please help me with this, I'd like to evolve beyond this, was like, and it took about a day. And then it was just like flowing beyond me. And then it was like, oh, it's just not even a deal anymore. It's done. And I could tell when it was done. And I was like, oh, I don't have any more reaction to that. And so our attention, intention, and attention and our focus of energy is so important to be clear about where our energy, attention, and intention is going. Totally. So I just wanted to bring that into this whole conversation.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Cool. Let me see if there's any more questions. We went over a little bit today, but I feel like we got a lot of good stuff in. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We are doing these info sessions every week, same time, same place. All the details are in the event section of the Quantum Wellness Now Facebook group. So you can bring friends, you can ask questions. This is your time to shine. We wanted to do a few sessions where we're just responding to basic questions that we get asked over and over. So the first 2 or 3 are these basic questions. They're going to be found in the album. If you go to videos or albums on Facebook, go into albums section and you'll see where it says info sessions. All the recordings are always going to be right there. So you can watch them, you can tag people in them, you can copy the link and forward it to somebody. So if you have friends and family coming on the app, feel free to use these info sessions to your advantage so that we can get the info out and everybody using the app in the best way possible for them. And then we also have, if you're interested in sharing it with the world, sharing the Limbic Arc love, we do have weekly calls that you can find in the event section as well. Join us there live, and the same thing, same place you'll find the recordings for these is the same place you'll find the recording for the affiliate expansion calls. So join us if you would like, and if you have any further questions, feel free to post them in the group, ask one of us or ask the person who invited you. And if you aren't signed up for the app yet, go ahead and talk to the person who invited you to the app and get yourself registered and get your first month started, and let's see what's possible for you.
Yeah, totally.
All right, you guys.
Beautiful.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us, everybody on Facebook. I'm glad I got that hooked up and connected. You guys asked some amazing questions. I hope this was a benefit, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for being awesome.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.